The evening settles softly through the arches made of stone. Grand Central hums with whispers of 1,000 journeys grown. A porter lifts a suitcase with a practiced steady hand, and somewhere in the distance calls the promise of a land. The whistle cuts the silence like a silver thread of sound. Footsteps echo slowly across the polished ground. A stranger smiles politely as the conductor calls the line. Tonight we ride the rails of fate beyond the Hudson shine. The engines breathe like giants waking from a velvet dream. Smoke curls through the lantern glow above the midnight steam. The city lights are fading like a memory in the rain, while hearts begin to wander down the long Atlantic train. And every mile behind us feels a little less like home, but every mile before us whispers softly you belong. Through windows framed in velvet, past the rivers dark and wide, the world begins unfolding on the quiet other side. Somewhere past tomorrow, or the dawn we've yet to see, a different kind of living waits for wandering hearts like me. So let the rails keep singing, let the night roll gently by, let the stars above the Hudson write their stories in the sky. For journeys shape the soul more than maps could ever show. And somewhere down this silver line is someone yet to know. The dining car is glowing with a gentle amber light. Velvet chairs and silver trays invite the coming night. A steward pours the wine with care as quiet violins begin a soft and tender song where every dream begins. The train moves like a river through the quiet countryside, while strangers share a table on this softly swaying ride. A lady in a sapphire dress laughs lightly with a friend, and every passing mile feels like a story without end. Outside the window, shadows of the fields drift slowly past. Small towns blink like fireflies that flicker in the vast. But here inside the lantern glow, time seems to move so slow, like the world has paused to watch this elegant plateau. A gentleman beside me speaks of cities far away, of music halls in Paris and the lights of Monterey. His voice is warm and weathered, like a record played with care. And somehow every word he says feels lighter in the air. The rhythm of the railway keeps a quiet, steady beat, like a distant drummer guiding every traveler we meet. Forks and glasses softly chime in harmony with steel, and suddenly this moving train begins to feel so real. I raise my glass to nowhere, to the miles we've yet to see, to every hidden corner of the world's geography. For somewhere down these silver rails, past mountains and the foam, a traveler might discover what it truly means to roam. The corridor grows quiet as the midnight hour appears. The laughter from the dining car has faded with the cheers. Soft footsteps down the hallway disappear behind each door, while the steady rolling rhythm echoes through the floor. I sit beside the window, where the glass reflects the night, watching shadows of the fields drift slowly out of sight. A lonely farmhouse lantern burns somewhere far away, like a memory still glowing from another yesterday. The train hums like a lullaby across the sleeping land, while moonlight paints the silver rails like lines drawn by hand. Every mile we travel, every town we leave behind, was like turning quiet pages in the story of my mind. The stars above the prairie seemed so endless and so wide, like the questions of a traveler with nowhere left to hide. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the dark unknown, a different life is waiting for a heart that's overgrown. Perhaps a road in Paris, or a cafe by the sea, or someone standing somewhere who is meant to notice me. These thoughts drift like the moonlight on the glass before my face, as the quiet midnight railway carries me through space. And though the night feels endless and the world is fast asleep, there is comfort in the motion of a promise rails will keep. For every mile of darkness, every silent passing mile is simply leading somewhere where the morning waits to smile. The lounge car glows in amber light with music soft and low. A piano plays a velvet tune while quiet travelers slow. The rhythm of the railway gently sways the midnight air, and every stranger passing by carries stories there. I'd take a seat beside the bar where shadows softly blend. A gentleman with silver hair looks over with a grin. He lifts his glass politely, like travelers often do, and asks if I might share the road for just a mile or two. He speaks of ports in Lisbon and cafes in Marseille, of winter nights in Vienna where violins still play. His voice is calm and weathered like an old and trusted song that somehow makes the passing night feel shorter as we roll along. Outside the glass, the countryside is drifting fast and far, but here inside the lantern glow feels like a different star. The piano player smiles as the melody grows wide, and laughter drifts like perfume through the slowly swaying ride. For every train holds travelers who meet and disappear, like chapters in a novel that fade from year to year. But sometimes in a quiet car between the dark and dawn, two strangers share a moment before the night moves on. And when he lifts his hat goodbye before he leaves the train, I realize a simple talk can soften any pain. For journeys aren't just distance or the places that we see, but fleeting conversations that shape our memories. Morning breaks in quiet gold across the sleeping train. A soft light spills through velvet shades like sunshine after rain. The rails begin to shimmer as the mountains slowly rise. White peaks touch the morning air beneath the endless skies. Passengers in tailored coats gather near the glass, watching ancient alpine towns and rivers rushing past. A steward pours the champagne with a careful, steady hand, as if the world outside the train was perfectly well planned. The sunlight floods the valleys where the silver rivers run. Villages like storybooks are waking one by one. Church bells ring in distant hills where quiet pastures lie, while clouds drift slowly through the peaks like ships across the sky. A lady laughs beside me at the beauty of the view. She says the world feels different when the sky is such a blue. And suddenly the journey feels lighter than before, as if these ancient mountains have opened up a door. For somewhere past these ridges, beyond the winding rails, are cities filled with music and romantic evening tales. And somewhere past tomorrow, or a station yet unknown, a traveler may discover a life that's not yet grown. So raise your glass to morning, to the sunlight on the snow, to every hidden valley where these silver railways go. for journeys change the spirit more than maps could ever show. And somewhere past the mountains is a world we long to know. The train slows down at morning where the station arches shine. Vienna waits in golden light beyond the silver line. Porters move like dancers on the polished marble floor, while violins are floating from the cafe near the door. The platform hums with music, soft and graceful as the breeze. A waltz begins to wander through the old chestnut trees. Couples drift in laughter like a scene from long ago, where every step remembers what the centuries still know. The city wears its history like velvet lined with lace. Balconies and chandeliers reflect a slower grace. And somewhere in the distance, a distant orchestra turns the passing moment into something like a star. A lady spins in sunlight with a rose within her hair. Her laughter lifts the morning like a melody in air. For every street in Vienna seems to hum a quiet song, where hearts can lose their rhythm and still feel they belong. But soon the whistle calls again, the journey must resume. The rails begin their silver path beyond the platform room. Yet somewhere in my memory that waltz will softly stay, like echoes of a city that dance the dawn away. The cafe car is glowing with a soft and gentle light. Porcelain cups and quiet talk fill the early night. The scent of roasted coffee floats like music through the air, while somewhere near the window someone hums without a care. A trio starts to play a tune of piano, bass and drums, a melody so easy like the way the railway runs. Passengers are swaying to the rhythm of the rails, while laughter drifts like perfume through the softly clinking trails. A couple shares a pastry as the countryside goes by. Golden fields and rivers slide beneath the evening sky. A waiter hums along as he moves from seat to seat, balancing the silver trays in gentle rolling beat. The music grows a little warm as the night begins to fall, like the quiet conversation between strangers in the hall. And every smiling traveler seems to know without a word that sometimes life's best moments are the ones we've never heard. Outside the sky grows darker as the lamps begin to glow. Reflections in the window show a world that drifts below. But here within the cafe car where melodies appear, the road feels just a little less like leaving things behind. So raise a cup to simple joys, to music soft and free, to trains that cross the continents and wandering hearts like me. For every quiet evening on a gently swaying train turns strangers into memories we'll never meet again. The train rolls softly into a station dressed in light. Paris wakes in whispers through the fading of the night. Lanterns glow along the tracks like stars upon the ground. And somewhere near the platform a distant song is found. The doors swing open slowly to the cool Parisian air. Perfume and quiet laughter drift like music everywhere. A violin is playing by the cafe down the lane as travelers step lightly from the midnight silver train. And then I see you standing by the edge of platform 3, a smile that feels familiar like a half-remembered dream. You say you were just passing, but somehow time slows down while morning paints the rooftops of the waking Paris town. We walk beside the railway where the early sunlight gleams, speaking softly of the world and half-forgotten dreams. Your voice is warm and gentle like the songs the old cafes play, a melody that lingers long after it fades away. But whistles call the moment, and the journey must resume. The train breathes like a giant beneath the station gloom. You lean a little closer as the final seconds fly, and leave a quiet promise in a simple, soft goodbye. A kiss upon the platform before the doors close tight. A memory born in Paris between the day and night. And though the train is leaving and the city slips from view, the rails will keep a secret of the moment shared with you. The afternoon grows quiet as the golden light appears. Fields of amber drifting by like memories through the years. The sun begins its gentle fall beyond the distant plains, painting long reflections on the slowly shining rails. Passengers grow softer in the hush of evening air, reading faded postcards or lost in private prayer, while shadows stretch like stories across the countryside, and the rhythm of the railway turns the moment into tide. I watch the rivers winding through the valleys far below, like every road I've traveled and the roads I'll never know. Each station left behind us feels like pages softly turned in a quiet book of moments that a wandering heart has learned. The sky becomes a canvas of crimson, gold, and flame, as if the world itself remembers why we came, to leave the weight of yesterday somewhere along the way, and find within the miles a reason still to stay. And maybe that's the secret every traveler must learn. The farther that you wander, the more the heart can turn. For every passing sunset across a silver line is simply time reminding us the journey is divine. The rails begin to darken as the evening slowly grows, but somewhere past the twilight a distant lantern glows. And though this road is ending and the night begins to climb, the music of this railway will echo far through time. The night begins to fade away as pale blue skies appear. A quiet glow of morning light announces we are near. The train moves slow through ancient walls where silent rooftops lie. church bells greet the rising sun across the Roman sky. Soft voices fill the corridors, travelers gather near. Suitcases and gentle smiles replace the midnight air. A porter hums a morning tune while opening the door, and sunlight spills like golden wine across the platform floor. The city waits in marble light where centuries remain, stories carved in stone and time beyond the winding lane. And every traveler stepping down feels something new begin, like turning to a brighter page where dreams may wander in. I stand beside the railway, watching dawn unfold 1,000 miles behind me in memories of gold. The mountains and the midnight talks, the cafes and the rain, now live inside the quiet song of this completed train. For journeys shape the traveler more than any map can say. Each mile becomes a compass that slowly finds its way. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the roads we roam, the world becomes a little more like something close to home. So let the morning guide me through streets I've never known, for every path in Rome today is one I've somehow grown. And though the rails now rest behind, their music still will stay, like echoes of a golden train that carried me this way.